This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 146. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski, and on today's episode, what is WWE planning with what is being called the Thunderdome? We've got the inside scoop, as well as Goldberg releasing some info on his contract with WWE, and what does AEW have in store with open-air arenas in Florida? You're going to want to stick around for the news and notes section for sure, because we're going to cover all of that. Of course, we've got the biggest pay-per-view of the summer, SummerSlam. We're going to give you our predictions. I'm trailing big time. I got to make up some ground, and I better do it with this pay-per-view. Otherwise, it's going to be an uphill battle for me. Of course, we're going to talk about the biggest topics and trends in wrestling. AEW is on a little bit of a hiatus as they're going to be airing on Saturday. So we're going to find some stuff to talk about with AEW, and doing it with me as always. He's the one. He's the only. He's my cousin. He's your cousin. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Also, cuz a major defection is about to happen in the world of professional wrestling. No defections here. Doc and Jock will always be together, letting it rip, breaking down the world of professional wrestling. Whew. SummerSlam is upon us. It feels like it came here quick, but there's going to be a lot to chomp on this week's episode. Let's let it rip, man. What do you got?
So let's start with SmackDown. And I thought the biggest thing to kind of come out of SmackDown was this reiteration of Braun Strowman. I feel like at this point, he's no longer a babyface, but he's not quite a full-blown heel. He, in my words, I'm referring to him as a semi-heel. It's like a semi-boner, but not a full boner. It's just like he's a heel. He's not a full-blown heel, but he's a semi-heel. And what you had was Alexa Bliss start smacking Braun Strowman in the face, telling him to snap out of it. I think she slapped him like 9 times. I lost count after a little bit. And Braun Strowman ends up just kind of ragdolling her around, and you have this almost demonic Braun Strowman. I love this. I want to know where you're at as we head into this pay-per-view where he's going to take on the Fiend Bray Wyatt.
I'm loving the character. I think that, I was a little bit concerned as he broke away from really a great group, the Wyatt family. But this run with the title, while I know it's not epic just yet, it has not been too bad. I think that showcasing him, kind of maybe teasing a little bit, lends me to think that maybe he may even have an extended run with this belt to keep this story going. I'm not terribly unhappy with what I'm seeing. I think that, like you said, this new character change and kind of not knowing if he's a face or a heel has been good. I think he needs to be built as this monster, and he needs to continue to kind of grow as a character, and I'm liking it. I think that, let me know if you agree, I think that was the best part of the show. I thought it was really interesting. It kept your attention, and then the use of Alexa Bliss, I don't know, maybe you think that potentially they kind of need to link up on camera and do some business together, maybe let her be a mouthpiece and stay with Braun a little bit, and maybe she can be his savior as we go into 2021.
Well, here's the thing, what's funny with the whole Alexa Bliss angle. I think they're fantastic together. And nobody really watched that mixed gender tag team. And they were a mixed gender tag team, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. They were Team Little Big. And nobody really watched that airing. I think it was on the network. I don't even remember what it was called. Mixed Match Challenge is what I think it was. And nobody really watched that. And then Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman have been on each other's social medias before. They've done a lot of different things together. They have this history. And the way WWE portrays this is I think they expect everybody to know this, or they expect everybody to have been following along on the internet or following along with the Mixed Match Challenge, which, again, nobody watched any of this. So I feel like with Alexa Bliss, I think these two paired together is absolutely fantastic. But I don't think WWE did a good enough job explaining the backstory and how these two are linked. And I think that could have added a little bit more depth here. Now, the thing that I think is the biggest question that this is leading to is we're about to have a match between one of the greatest characters in WWE right now, The Fiend, versus Braun Strowman. And this has no impact on what you do with the predictions because you can predict whatever you're going to want to predict. But I want to know right now, who do you think needs this win more? Or who would a win here be better for? Would it be better for Braun to help elevate him and elevate this new semi-heel character? Or would it be better for the title to go back on The Fiend, who, remember, he was originally not supposed to lose the title. Goldberg ended up not wanting to do the job for Bray Wyatt, and that's why the title ended up switching at the Saudi Arabia show. So who do you think a win would do more for here at SummerSlam?
Absolutely would do more for Braun Strowman. I think that his character needs to develop. Look, Bray Wyatt and the Fiend character is made. You can just take it so many different ways. You can attack so many different people. You can get into the souls of basically anybody that you want to elevate. You put them with Bray Wyatt and then have a run and make some money. Braun Strowman, I think, would absolutely benefit from continuing to have the belt. It would be amazing. And the funny thing is, you brought up the mixed match challenge in the tournaments. Had you not said those words, I don't have one redeeming memory of that. Until
nobody does.
Until you said that, I totally forgot that it even happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that, here's the thing, as we're kind of talking about it, it wasn't even on the network, I don't think. I think it was on Facebook. So nobody really watched this.
Exactly. It wasn't highlighted, and then they just assumed that people would figure out why Alexa Bliss is going down this road.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think the one thing that came out of Friday night's show was WWE has misused and I think disrespected their women's division. So on Friday night, we have Asuka competing against all of the best women superstars across all three brands. And basically, this is for a shot at the SmackDown Championship. Asuka ends up winning this Battle Royal, which wasn't very good. And now at SummerSlam, she's going to take on both Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship as well as Bayley for the Women's SmackDown Championship. You have one person going again for both titles, whereas you have one of the deepest rosters for the women, and yet you are giving this massive push, which I love the push for Asuka, but you are having her take on both champions at the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. It just feels like, to me, it's a misstep. It's totally disrespectful to all of the other ladies in NXT, on SmackDown, and on Raw for them to not come away with a different winner other than Asuka.
Absolutely. And it's like, these number one contender battle royales, it's like herky-jerky, and it's like you don't really get, in any of these, in the latest while, you really haven't felt like you got the payoff. Like you got the person that was most deserving. It just kind of feels like an afterthought. Okay, we need a contender. Battle Royale. Everybody in there and just figure it out. So it feels like they don't plan it properly. And with WWE, there's so much planning and so much production. Give a little attention to these Battle Royales. Maybe spark a new storyline that can evolve from the Battle Royale. I mean, just to have a throwaway and Asuka coming away with it, it didn't make me go, and it's something that probably is going to emerge as we talk about SummerSlam, it didn't make me go, yeah, I got to sit there and pay attention Sunday. Not at all.
Yeah. Exactly. No, exactly. And I think that's the perfect segue for Monday, because on Monday Night Raw, my takeaway was this was another go-home show with zero juice. It gave me no reason to tune in on Sunday. It gave me no reason to set up appointment viewing where I have to be in front of my TV to watch this. There's really nothing here where I'm like, man, I can't wait to see that match. I'm not sure what your take on Raw was, but are you in lockstep with me where you're just kind of like, all right, this was kind of a ho-hum show that was supposed to get you pumped up for Sunday, but you're just kind of like, all right, I don't even care what's going on right now.
Collectively, yes, you're absolutely right. You make a great point. But within Raw, there was still a nice moment to see Rey Mysterio come back, to see finally, Dominic yield the kendo stick and to whack Seth Rollins with it. I'll be honest, I popped a little bit for that. It makes me go, okay, good. They set it up properly where you want Dominic to whoop on Seth Rollins, and just I think the fan in me always likes to see Rey Mysterio because of the fact that just seeing him brings back all the memories of his lucha libre style and the cruiserweights back in WCW. So whatever the deal is going to be for him, whether he signed or whether he is on a per appearance basis, seeing Rey Mysterio and this evolution with Dominic, I like it, and at least got me intrigued. That was my favorite moment in my notes for Monday Night Raw.
I mean, I think that might have been the best moment. Other than that, I mean, look, I think Raw Underground is tracking in a direction where it's kind of headed aimlessly. Like, we don't know why it's there. We don't know what its purpose is. It looks like this weird Fight Club motif. And I think that might have been, besides, like you said, your Rey Mysterio moment, this might have been the other best part, because you got to see Shayna Baszler and you got to see a couple of the 4 horsewomen of MMA standing up with her. And it was supposed to lead to something with Nia Jax, but then Nia Jax kind of bailed. And again, you get these half-ass stories that don't make a whole lot of sense. And again, this is what Monday Night Raw has become. It is completely frustrating to invest time and energy into watching this. I mean, I just told you about what could arguably be the best part of Monday Night Raw, and I'm angry about it.
Yeah, it's not. That's the thing that WWE has failed to do in the time without fans, is you fail to build an interest level that makes you go, oh my gosh. Remember in years past, you'd have Bret Hart, you'd have Shawn Michaels, you'd have these classic matchups, Undertaker, Stone Cold, you'd have these big culmination. And what you're seeing is, and as we evolve and continue this podcast, what you're seeing is, this is the direct result of not having stars. It's like you could have these interchangeable parts, and you could have, okay, Randy Orton, yes, he's a top-of-the-line guy, but you could interject somebody else there against Drew McIntyre, and you'd be like, okay, they're not culminating in what we would call huge moments, in that, you know what, okay, yes, if Randy Orton does go on to defeat Drew McIntyre, we've seen it before. It'd just be an evolution and be like, okay, what's next? You don't feel like, okay, you got Drew McIntyre, you got AJ Styles, you got a couple interesting sprinkles, but collectively, what they fail to do is create must-see. There's no must-see like, wow, I got to see Orange Cassidy. I got to see oh my God, if he's going to talk in a debate, that's perfect. He doesn't talk. So let's see what words are going to come out of his mouth. That's intrigue. It's called must-watch. Another hair versus hair match doesn't do it for me, because I don't want to see any of these ladies lose their hair. They're naturally beautiful. I don't want to see that go down. I don't like the angles. I don't like the stipulations. I don't like the intrigue. I don't like the setups. And, I know it sounds quite negative, but we are not alone in that sentiment, in that WWE is driving a lot of people, maybe even their own, to a competitor. And that's just based on the way in which they operate. It kind of has the vibe of a company that's there, where everybody's high and fat and they're all well paid, and there's no like deep dive drive to be like, I'm hungry. Like, they're all basically, a lot of the wrestlers have fat contracts. Mm-hmm. They get called or they don't get called, and WWE has thrown a bunch of money at people, and it just doesn't feel like there's maybe more than a half dozen characters that are like, this is interesting. The rest are like, all right, I show up. All right, who am I facing? All right, I'm going to lose to Apollo. All right, tell me my spot. All right, tell me my script. All right, let's go out there. That's kind of the way it feels. Mm-hmm. And it's not good. And it's basically a company that we're talking about that's kind of, not saying flatlining. They're still making money. They're still profitable. It's just they've plateaued. And it's not appointment viewing. You can just, you don't have to watch it live. And I think in the last 5 months, there's maybe been 1 or 2 moments where we were like, wow, did you see that? I don't even think we've texted the last 3 weeks about Raw, because there's been nothing on it to text about.
Unless it's been absolutely horrible, and we're like, what are we watching?
What are we watching? Exactly.
Yep. And you know what? Great foreshadowing by you. You definitely are going to want to stick around for the news and notes segment for what John was just alluding to with what WWE has done with some of their talent. Now, everything that you just said, so I'm assuming this is no surprise to you, but according to Wrestling Observer, as compared with the same time last year, Monday Night Raw is down 35% in viewers. 41% in the demographic of 18 to 49, and 51% in the demographic of 18 to 34. I think right now, WWE is in serious trouble. And I don't think that they realize it, because I think a lot of it has to do with what you just said. I think you have a lot of people who are sitting fat on the hog. I think they've gotten a little bit lazy. I think they've gotten a little bit sloppy. And I don't think they know how to put together compelling stories. Or I think they pull the plug too fast on putting compelling stories together. You will be building towards something. Do you remember on SmackDown we had this hacker angle, and it was building for like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks. And it was something that was starting to gain momentum. And I think we all thought that it was going to be Mustafa Ali. And what ends up happening is the plug gets pulled on it. Mustafa Ali gets shifted over to Monday Night Raw. He has, I think, 2 solid matches, and the next thing you know, he's buried by Bobby Lashley, and you have no idea what's going on with Mustafa Ali right now. And this was a guy who was tracking, last year, who was tracking to win your championship title. It's amazing what this company has done.
Absolutely amazing. And it's just, it really, bottom line is that it's plateaued and they're basically in need of a massive infusion of excitement and freshness. And I don't know, maybe SummerSlam will do that, but I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it as well. Let's switch gears and let's go to something that is definitely not WWE, and let's get your Impact review on what took place this Tuesday on Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, it was tag team night, man. 2 great tag teams. Look, I think when you see and compare Impact and AEW and WWE, there's starting to be an emergence and a value placed on tag team wrestling. And it's important because guess what? With more individuals available to be in the ring, there's more chemistry. And on Tuesday, they showcased that with the Motor City Machine Guns getting a victory in a nice match against the North, taking care of business. And then you had Gallows and Anderson taking care of business. And so for me, those 2 matches on Impact were worth it alone. They were intriguing. It's nice always to see Moose. He's an interesting character, but he's been there. He's been a staple. You know, he's a guy that has been in Impact for a long time, has seen like 3 different companies. So, you know, when you see him on the show, it's quite interesting. But for me, my biggest takeaways are the tag team division is growing and emerging. And just by highlighting the tag team that, I mean, literally, my notes say Gallows and Anderson, best tag team in the world. How did WWE botch this? Because you had them win this trophy in Saudi or in one of those overseas special events. And then to go from that and not to ride that momentum to clearly establish them, they became just another tag team that was in the mix where they'd win for 2 weeks, get the belt for a month, and then they drop it for seemingly no reason. And I have a good vibe just based on the look that they're presenting. It's just them. And I just don't understand the reluctance of WWE to just say, okay, we got Gallows and Anderson. Let them be. Just tell us what you need, and we'll make it happen. There's no reason that Gallows and Anderson can't shine in Impact, and they stand out. They're like, oh, wow, these are stars. And the Motor City Machine Guns are, got a special place in our heart because of the lineage that they have to the Metro Detroit area, and they represent, and they're a good tag team. You can just see what experience in a tag team does, the tags, the fluidity, the use of the ring. And it was great. So definitely check out Impact this week. It was a solid B show, and I think that if you're willing to invest in Impact, I think it can be nice viewing, that if you want to supplement and take out Raw, the viewing would be AEW, Impact, NXT, then SmackDown and Raw. Yeah,
and you talked about the Motor City Machine Guns. Fantastic tag team that has been getting it done for years. And I think they arguably had the best match of the night against the North. So great review by you, and it was a really good wrestling program on Tuesday night. Much better than what we got on Friday night and much better than what we got on Monday. Let's move on to NXT. And I thought we had a great promo by Pat McAfee on NXT.
Ooh, now,
with McAfee, I think we both had some apprehension. We both had some concern. We both think physically he can get the job done in the ring because, of course, he is an athlete. Say what you will. I know he's a kicker, but he is an athlete. This guy has trained. He's able to run the ring. Has a couple moves in his back pocket. The question was, would he be able to cut a compelling promo to get you invested in what's going to take place on Saturday night at NXT TakeOver 30. And I think what you got a guy who went out there and he cut a fantastic promo. I don't want to say it was an A+ because it wasn't. I think it was a B+, A- promo from a guy who is brand new to this sport. And I thought his line was, you better hope that I don't take this up as my other career because I'll be making millions off of all of you guys. So I loved it. I thought Pat McAfee did a great job cutting a promo. And this is what we were talking about, what we were looking for with Raw. This match has me interested. I'm interested to see what happens in this match, and I might tune in to NXT 30 just to watch this one match.
Yes, absolutely. I just think that the natural charisma, you can't teach that. That's why in WWE and NXT just as important as the wrestling, and sometimes maybe even to some promoters and those and marks, the ability to speak can be even more valuable to a commodity than really I mean, look, do you really remember, outside of moments, a move that Hulk Hogan did? Like, right? It was basically him hulking up was his classic thing, and he capitalized on his character. And
The Rock was the same way, and John Cena is the same way. Like, exactly. All of those guys that you just named, they are all, we'll say, B- in the ring with their move sets. I mean, like, The Rock's move is like this elaborate elbow drop. That's his move. You know, Hulk Hogan's is a leg drop, and John Cena's is a falling down punch. That's their move set. Like, they don't have a move set, but these guys all cut promos that get you to buy in and get you invested. And I think McAfee did that.
And bringing out the crew was cool. And it was just, I think it was probably in the not top 5, but top 10 promos of the year. Delivered flawlessly, passionately, good timing, good pauses. You got a winner there on the microphone. Now the intrigue on that side of thing when we have TakeOver, I believe Saturday, is going to be what this guy does in the ring.
Yep, absolutely. AEW. We didn't get any AEW this week, so you're going to have to check out Dynamite on Saturday. They'll be on TNT. Now,
did you hear a little bit of the snafu that somebody made in regards to potentially releasing some of the results? Did you see some of that? And
I did.
That can't happen. That can't happen. Now, we're not going to spoil it, so I know Adam is a smart mark, and I am too. We kind of peeked in, but I think I'll say this. Tune in. It'll be worth your while to see something unique and in something that you may not expect. Tune in.
So here's the thing. So all this stuff was released on Reddit, and AEW, and Cody Rhodes specifically, has come out and said everything that you're reading isn't true. So they do have some time to make some changes, and
maybe reshoot it.
So the endings could be switched, but again, I don't want to give anything away. Right. I do want to know, what are you most looking forward to from Saturday's show now that you've read what was released, and what angle has you most intrigued for this Saturday's show?
Dude, it's Brody Lee. I want to see Brody Lee getting over. Maybe. I want to see what happens. I want to see what chaos potentially goes down. I want to see how it plays out and what kind of moments are created. But I think, and that was my next point to you was, and it's on my note sheet here, I wrote, AEW better reshoot some of these things, because you can't have that happen. And for whoever did that, shame on you. If you're somebody and from all accounts, if you're somebody that's sitting ringside and you're personally invited or you're aware of what's going on, don't ruin it for people. If something is taped, don't ruin it by sharing it, because when you first come across, you're like, no way. I was like mad. I was literally mad because you took away a moment that I would have genuinely been surprised by. And I don't like that. I mean, it comes across because you can't help it, because people online are like, AEW spoilers in big letters. So you can't not click on it, and you have to read on it. But Chris Jericho did speak on it on his show and, revealed the nature of it, and it's just damn shame. It can't happen. So tune in. I don't care if I know. It still might have one of those resounding effects where, because and it might be even, some weird reverse psychology where this was actually known by AEW to actually get more people to watch. But however this came about, it's worth your while to watch AEW on Saturday.
I agree with you 100%, and that's the angle I want to see, and everything you said, I can't second it hard enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into what's going to take place on Sunday. So,
here we go.
Arguably, the biggest pay-per-view of the summer, we've got SummerSlam. SummerSlam is one of my favorite pay-per-views. I have on VHS tape. I don't even have anything I can play it on right now because I don't have a VCR anymore. But I think it was 1991, maybe 1990 SummerSlam. I had the Rockers with Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. I had Earthquake versus Hulk Hogan. The Ultimate Warrior was on it. SummerSlam is one of my all-time childhood favorite pay-per-views, and even as an adult, I still absolutely love it. Let's kick off the predictions. We've got the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre taking on Randy Orton. Who do you think gets the championship?
Drew McIntyre. I can't imagine a run with the title in front of no fans. I don't care, come hell or high water, Drew deserves a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity to walk out with fans. If WWE takes the belt off of him, I don't know, I might have to pull the plug because the dude deserves it. It's his first title reign, and it can't go down. We're close. I mean, it might not be in front of 25,000 fans, but his first opportunity should be at least in front of 500 to 1,000 fans that can scream his name, and he can get that adulation for the work that he's done. It has to be Drew McIntyre, but potentially not. I think it's going to be by disqualification. I think that something or someone will interfere. I don't think you take the shine away from Randy Orton just yet. Maybe a surprise appearance from a former foe of Randy Orton. Maybe you just have something that triggers Randy Orton going forward, but maybe a culmination of revenge from all the people that have been done wrong from Randy Orton interfere or get in the mix. But in my mind, Drew McIntyre gets the W, guaranteed.
Yeah, I think Drew McIntyre retains this championship. This is a hard one because Randy Orton has done some great work building to this. But like you said, I don't see you taking the belt off of Drew McIntyre where he's got 0 fans in attendance to ever see him hold the belt. And I think what we got a preview of on Monday was possibly a jump-off point for his next foe being Seth Rollins.
Yes.
As they kind of challenge each other as leaders of that locker room. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Now we've got our Universal Championship, Braun Strowman versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Who do you have?
It's tough because while I definitely believe in Bray Wyatt, I think he needs to carry it. If you're looking at ratings and looking at numbers, you better put that belt right back on Bray Wyatt. It's just not for merit, but for rating. Give me The Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I think this is built towards The Fiend getting the championship. I don't see why they would leave it on Braun Strowman. I think you can do some cool things with his character that you've already kind of built upon this past week on SmackDown. So I'm going to go The Fiend as well on this one. We've got the Raw Women's Championship, Sasha Banks versus Asuka. I think Sasha Banks will retain her title. I think what you're going to get coming out of SummerSlam is you're going to get a separation of the role model, Bayley, and Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I don't see, I mean, why would you take the belt off Asuka then to give her another moment? No, Give me a continuation, Sasha Banks, controversial fashion. Maybe if they don't break them up, then you're obviously going to see some interference on some level to make it a herky-jerky, terrible ending where we all get our hopes up that Asuka wins. But in the end, Sasha deserves a nice run. She's a bad performer. She's awesome. So it's fine. I'm okay with it if Sasha wins it.
Now, see, the SmackDown Women's Championship I see going the other way. Bayley versus Asuka. I think Asuka wins this one. This is where I think those seeds of separation are sowed, and I think this is what is the trigger point for them to break up. I think Sasha Banks either interferes the wrong way or something happens with her and Bayley or she doesn't do enough to help Bayley out, and Bayley is pissed about it. So I'm going to go Asuka winning the Women's SmackDown Championship.
Wow, okay. Interesting stuff. It's going to be tough. I mean, I'm going to go the opposite way. I think that you got to maintain this. I think that, like you said before, right, you said that Vince McMahon loves Bayley, loves the heel character, right? Mm-hmm. And why ruin a good thing? I think you got more heelish type behavior to take place. And refresh my memory, who's Sasha Banks taking on again? I know I picked Sasha. Who's she taking on?
Asuka.
And then who's Bayley taking on? Asuka. So it's okay. So understood. Wait a minute. Explain this match now to me again. Well, it's the 3-way for which title?
No. So they're 2 separate matches.
Asuka's in the same. You see how disconnected I am? Asuka's in the same match twice.
Yeah.
Oh, then.
Yeah.
Oh my.
This is why that battle royal on SmackDown was such shit.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I actually did not even cognitively hit me that it's the same Asuka against both. And I think they just royally screw her both times. I just give me Bayley for the retain. Wow, that's fun.
It's crazy how they've done this. Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio in a street fight. Now, I don't know about you, but I think you're going to have Rey Mysterio get involved some way, somehow in this street fight. And I think Dominic gets retribution for his father.
Yeah, absolutely. Dominic all the way, baby. I think that you've set it up, and it's a good situation in which this build where you got this face coming up, and he's young and he's fresh, he deserves some retribution. So give me Dominic all the way, baby, in a nice beatdown with some assistance, of course.
So I'm going to say this. Going through this rundown for the predictions, running through this match card. Now, again, mind you, some of these can change. These have been really, really difficult. It's been tough to make calls on these because I can see these going either way for every pick that we've made so far.
Exactly.
And you know what? I don't think it's going to stop. We've got the Raw Tag Team Championship now. The Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. Who do you see winning this one?
I see a retain. I see Street Profits have been a great gimmick. Why stop it now?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, and I think this might be the easiest one that we've had so far because I think this is another difficult one. Now we have the United States Championship. Apollo Crews, who is the champion, versus MVP. Who do you see winning this one?
See, you got to kind of kick off the heel group. I mean, what's the purpose of a heel group? I mean, do you continue to put Apollo Crews over? I think, I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I'm just going to go with my heart. I want MVP to win it. I think the heel's got to do some things to establish. I mean, because if you look at it, how are you going to be a legitimate badass manager with no belts? And I think that also gives Apollo an opportunity maybe to see the error of his ways down the road to actually join the group. So I want MVP to win it.
So I see it playing out a little bit differently. And you had this baby build occur the last couple Monday Night Raws. I think MVP is going to win it, but I think Cedric Alexander is going to interfere, and he's going to join MVP's group and become the newest member, being housed underneath MVP with his collection. But I agree with you. I think MVP wins this. All right, now you've got a hair versus hair match. You've got Sonya Deville, who we've got a bunch of news about in the news and notes segment, versus Mandy Rose.
No way Mandy loses. No way Mandy loses. Give me Mandy straight up. I can't see her with shortened hair. It's got to be the other way around. So give me Mandy Rose 100%.
I agree with you 100%. I was going to say Mandy Rose as well. Now, we've got a match here that is possible, and this might be added in tonight on Friday Night SmackDown. Matt Riddle versus King Corbin.
Oh.
Who do you think wins this?
Man, this one is tough because they both 100% need this. You got the heel, you got the young character. Oh my gosh, you know what? I'm kind of going to hope for that it doesn't happen because I need more of a build. I need to kind of gauge where they're at because I think it's like right at an equal, right at 50-50. I mean, Matt Riddle's the young cat, needs to get over. King Corbin can't continue this push of being this badass heel if he keeps putting people over. Wow, this one's really, really, at this point in time, really just a coin flip. And so I'm going to go with, you know what, I'm just going to go with the face. I'm going to go with Matt Riddle because if you're going to bring in this new cat, you got to have him establish some wins. And it could be one of those situations where Matt Riddle gets the win, but then within 4 seconds he gets beat down by the King, and you get another match out of this. But it's too new, too fresh. You would kill Matt Riddle if you have him lose right away. So give me Matt Riddle for this one.
I've got Matt Riddle as well. Now, you have a 2-point lead on me in the predictions, 6.5 to 4.5. To go back over everything really quickly, you've got Matt Riddle, and I've got Matt Riddle beating King Corbin. We both have Mandy Rose retaining her hair and shaving Sonya Deville's head. We both have MVP becoming the new United States champion over Apollo. We both have the Street Profits retaining their belts over Andrade and Angel Garza. We both have Dominic Mysterio getting some revenge for his father as he beats up Seth Rollins in a street fight. Now on SmackDown for the SmackDown Women's Championship, I've got Asuka winning, you have Bayley winning. And for the Raw Women's Championship, we both have Sasha Banks retaining over Asuka. For the Universal Championship, we've got The Fiend taking down Braun Strowman. And then for the WWE Championship, we both have Drew McIntyre retaining his belt over Randy Orton.
Oh boy, I would throw some heavy money on a tie because we could be both wrong and right in the same fashion. If Asuka defeats Sasha Banks, we're going to tie. If Asuka takes down one of the titles, but it's against Sasha, we're going to have a strong opportunity here because we got a lot similar. So stay tuned. That match will be key. Stay tuned to see if Asuka can take down one of the titles and against two. The crazy Asuka versus two title holders will be definitely intriguing, not only on SummerSlam, but for this challenge. I can't wait to see it now. Now it's a little bit more, our little gambling has made it a little bit more intriguing to see if she actually gets a W. But I'm going to have to hope that if she does get a W, it's against Sasha.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm rooting for her to get one against Bayley, and if that happens, it looks like I'll take this thing.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens.
Asuka,
and I need the point. I need the point bad
for it all. All right, cuz hit me with this week's Professional wrestling news and notes. What made your list?
So tons of news and notes this week. According to Dave Meltzer, virtually everybody on WWE's active roster has made preliminary contact with AEW. Some talks focused on compensation and how a given wrestler might fit into the promotion. Everyone but Roman Reigns, he is the lone person who has not spoke with transferring over to AEW. Again, WWE seems to be pushing their wrestlers out of WWE, and everybody wants to go to where the grass is greener, and that's AEW. Bret Hart said on his podcast that Triple H and Shawn Michaels made life difficult for The Rock behind the scenes and that they were out to get him. Chris Jericho confirmed this on his Saturday Night Special, saying, "As far as I know, it's true. From what The Rock told me, it's the reason why The Rock and Shawn Michaels never worked a match. I think Shawn might have insulted The Rock when he was a kid in Hawaii or something. The Rock's got a long memory, but yeah, even when Shawn came back, I believe there was one match where it was Triple H versus The Rock in Louisville, Kentucky. Shawn was the special guest referee, and they were angling to do a storyline feud between The Rock and Shawn, and I don't think that The Rock wanted to do it. So it looks like the Clique, or parts of the Clique, pissed off The Rock back in the day." Now, on Sunday, some scary news. Philip A. Thomas II, a 24-year-old male, was reportedly arrested in an apparent kidnapping attempt involving WWE's Sonya Deville. Thomas was carrying a knife, plastic zip ties, duct tape, and mace, and said he planned on taking the homeowner hostage. Thomas never met Deville, but stalked her on her social media for years. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said Thomas began planning the abduction about 8 months ago. Deville posted on social media later on Sunday that everybody was safe, but definitely a scary, scary situation.
Yeah,
WWE.
Yeah, it's a creep, man. Thank God she's off the streets. Whew.
Oh, absolutely. WWE is leaving the Performance Center. The company announced the creation of the WWE Thunderdome on Monday, which will allow fans to virtually attend the event live from Orlando's Amway Center. Now, this is where SummerSlam is going to be taped, and this is where SmackDown is going to be taped today as well. WWE has a long history of producing the greatest live spectacle in sports and entertainment, yet nothing compares to what we are creating with the WWE Thunderdome, said Kevin Dunn, WWE Executive President of Television Production. He's the guy who is responsible for the millions and millions of cuts that you see when they're filming a wrestling show. It's horrible. This structure will enable us to deliver an immersive atmosphere and generate more excitement amongst the millions of fans watching our programming around the world. The residency in Orlando will begin Friday and then stretch for the foreseeable future. NXT, however, will remain at Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida, while Raw and SmackDown will be held at the Amway Center. This sounds like it's going to be a setup similar to what you get with the NBA for basketball games, where you'll have everything taking place in the middle, and then they'll have screens that kind of drop down or pop up that show fans either excited or crying in devastation. Now, Goldberg revealed that he is under contract with WWE for 2 more years and is scheduled to wrestle 2 matches per year. There were some early thoughts that Goldberg may be going over to AEW. Not the case. He's staying with WWE for at least 2 more years, and we've got at least 4 more matches to get out of him, unfortunately. Longtime WWE host, interviewer, and announcer Renee Young has reportedly told the company that she is leaving WWE. According to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, Young gave WWE her notice 1 week ago, but it isn't yet known when she will officially finish up with the company. Now, on Thursday, AEW announced it will start hosting live shows in an open-air venue with 10 to 15% capacity, beginning with the August 27th edition of Dynamite in Jacksonville, Florida. So AEW is moving towards bringing fans back at obviously a very, very reduced capacity. They kind of tried this out, last week, and that's how we got that information on what was happening this week with the show, as they had a couple people invited into the stands and everything was sectioned off. And apparently, by all accounts, it was done very, very well. The fans that were there felt very, very welcomed. Some sad news to close the news and notes segment. Former WCW and WWE star Marcus Buff Bagwell was hospitalized Sunday following his involvement in a car crash. According to the reports filed by the Cobb County Police Department in Georgia, Bagwell lost control of his Chevy Tahoe while navigating a turn. Bagwell then crossed a median and hit a metal fence and finally collided with a freestanding bathroom at the Cobb County Transit bus station. Bagwell was transported to the hospital with serious injuries, and it is suspected that he was impaired by prescription medication at the time of the crash. The 50-year-old Bagwell competed for WWE and WCW from 1991 to 2001. He is also known as Marcus Alexander Bagwell early in his career, but eventually developed the Buff Bagwell persona, which I was a huge fan of when he was in WCW. Now, former Ring of Honor champion John Xavier Bedoya died Sunday. He was 43. Wrestling underneath the name Xavier, Bedoya became the second Ring of Honor champion ever in 2002 by defeating then-champion Low-Ki. He held the belt for 182 days before dropping it to Samoa Joe. He made occasional appearances on WWE TV between 2003 and 2007, mostly as mid-card talent on secondary shows like Heat and Velocity. And that's it for this week's wrestling news and notes.
Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast during the shows this weekend. Probably we'll do some tweeting and some commentary on some big shows that take place this weekend, NXT, AEW, and of course WWE SummerSlam. Good podcast, sir. Thanks everybody for subscribing to the network. I'm appreciating everybody that's checking in, that reaches out and says, hey, I enjoy your guys' work. All you got to do is go to your favorite place that podcasts are located. Type in these three words, Detroit Sports Podcast. And when you hit that subscribe button, our daily content finds you, and you don't got to do anything else extra. You get to listen to your favorite podcast on demand, pause it, rewind all the hijinks and hilarity, and you can find out why Adam is super rich, and you should hit him up for money anytime you want, because he's loaded. He makes the $1 Million Man look like just a petty pauper. Take care, cuz.
I love you. You're the worst. I'll see you later.